Heretic is so unexpected in so many ways.
Are you interested in learning more about the Church of Jesus Christ?
Come on in.
We can't come inside unless another woman is present?
My wife is home. Does that count?
I had the chance to be there for the world premiere on the red carpet at the Toronto International Film Festival, so I'll include some of my conversation with star Hugh Grant and Sophie Thatcher, but this film really exceeded my expectations. It comes from duo, filmmaker, producer, writer, tandem Scott Beck and Bryan Woods, who I've known about for a while after hearing about their spec script for A Quiet Place, which was really interesting in how it challenged kind of the boundaries of traditional screenwriting practices. They included a number of images. Some pages of the script only had 2 words. They kind of bucked certain things that you are taught to do as a screenwriter, and of course it went on to become a pretty great movie. Unfortunately, outside of their writing, their direction has not been as strong leading into Heretic. I mean, they did direct 65 starring Adam Driver most recently, which was, of course, an enormous flop. So I went into this particular film, which is an A24 production, a little hesitant. I knew that they could write a good script, but I wasn't sure if they could direct. But this film was pretty exceptional, and it was wildly entertaining and interesting. The first thing that was so unexpected about Heretic is that it's hilarious. It is one of the funniest films that I've seen at TIFF this year, and it had me laughing throughout. The opening scene alone is so good. It places these 2 Mormon missionaries, played by Chloe East and Sophie Thatcher, in a situation in which we might not expect, a conversation we might not expect between 2 Mormon missionaries, and this use of humor throughout the film, but particularly early on, really puts the audience at ease and, of course, makes the kind of wild twists and turns that happen later a little bit more impactful. This is not your just classic, completely trope-filled horror film. Sure, we have the dark hallways and the basements and the doors that don't open and all of these things, which is fine, right? In a sense, that's just honoring the genre, but Heretic does some things that are not normal in just an everyday horror film. It's set in mostly a single location, and a large part of the film in one single room in this location with gorgeous set design. They are really playing with perspective in the way that they built this set in tandem with the lens that they use sometimes when they are shooting very wide in this one room, so wide that it kind of distorts the edges of the space. But beyond that, a lot of this film is just the 3 characters talking. We have these 2 Mormon missionaries again, Chloe East and Sophie Thatcher, alongside a wild Hugh Grant. I don't know if I will ever get over this Hugh Grant performance. You have not seen Hugh Grant like this. It is unbelievable. As mentioned, I had the opportunity to chat with him, and this is kind of what he said about the project and playing this character.
I thought it was daring. It's a very unusual horror film. It's got elements of comedy. It's quite daring in its themes, quite iconoclastic, and a very fucked up, weird lead character. And to try and work him out seemed like it might be fun.
Right, so you heard it from Hugh. this is something different, and this is a character that he wanted to figure out. He delivers a performance that is so funny. I mean, he's hilarious, but nuanced and intricate, and unlike what we have really seen. There are so many other ways in which this film is not just, quote unquote, a typical horror film. It is a pretty fascinating exploration of religion, of belief, of faith. It is, and there will be folks who probably don't even watch it who say that this film is just anti-religion or bashing religion, and that's certainly not how I see it. To me, it is just putting forward questions about why we believe what we do, and the whole premise, not to enter into spoiler territory, is about belief versus disbelief. Interestingly, both Chloe East and Sophie Thatcher, who play these Mormon missionaries, grew up in the Mormon church. And when I was chatting with Sophie, she was able to kind of elaborate on how these childhood experiences, she did leave the church, but how these childhood experiences informed her character.
I was tapping into what I felt when I was younger before I left the church. I felt, I don't know, a little bit more shy, a little bit more reserved, like there was a wall. And that has nothing to say with the church, but it was just where I was at in my life at that point. So I think it was like pretty innate tapping into that, which is rare to get a project where you're like, oh, I can just like go back and think of that experience. So I was lucky to like get that full circle. It felt therapeutic.
Sophie and Chloe have immediate chemistry right from the first frame of this film. And while they're not as strong as Hugh Grant, I mean, that's a pretty tough task when you're acting alongside the legend. They are very interesting performers, I would say, and two younger actresses to keep an eye on. The film is also just very well shot. The DP, the cinematographer here, is Chung Hoon Chung, who is most well known for being the cinematographer for Old Boy. So a very talented kind of man with a vision there. And they kept things interesting in the Q&A after the world premiere. Beck and Woods kind of talked about this visual language a little bit and how they needed to change things up, be it the lens being used, the movement of the camera, because within a very confined situation, a kind of single location shoot, the audience still needed to have some movement and have some change. There's a use of pretty tight close-ups, sometimes even extreme close-ups on our characters' faces. A lot of times they are kind of the lens through which Hugh Grant's character is seeing the others, analyzing them, trying to figure out if they have any weakness or if they're thinking anything that can be kind of use to him as this journey progresses. If you do watch this film and you get to the third act and really the final beats of the film, I implore you to just sit and think and give yourself some time. My immediate gut reaction to some things that were happening at the very end was not necessarily positive, thinking, oh, that seems like a bit of a cop-out, or, oh, are we forcing something here? But not too long after, and I allowed myself to kind of sit on those final beats and think about what exactly happened, it just clicked with me that there was no other way to end the film. And of course, I won't spoil anything, but it really solidifies the film's thesis, and they had to end it like this, and I'm really, really glad they did. If you like this, subscribe, comment, like, do all those things. It's really nice. It makes me feel good. And I'll be posting some more TIFF stuff, some more film review stuff. So watch the next one too. Cheers.
So, it's Hugh. I'm really sorry about Adam. I hope you have another kid somewhere.